Hello everyone, welcome to the When It Worked podcast. You're with your host Julian Leahy, joined as always in the soundproof booth, Chief Henry Harrigan, and today's guest is Scott Goodrich from eosworldwide.com/Scott-Goodrich. Welcome to the show, Scott. You should appear any moment. There you are.
I am. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to have some fun. We're going to launch straight into it. And don't forget, Scott, you have lifelines. So if you're not sure in any way, it's good to ask for a lifeline.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
Let's roll.
Okay. Can you be my lifeline, Julian, or do I have to go outside? Do I have to go knock on my my wife's door? Should I do that? Should I have her ready to go?
Well, it's going to help. But if we get to that point where you need that lifeline, you can jump in there.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. First question. A bushel is a standard unit originally used to measure the weight of what? Okay, now why isn't that working? That's great. All right, I'll just read them out to you. A is potatoes, B is grain, C is apples, D is stone. A bushel is a standard unit originally used to measure the weight of what?
I'm going to say grain.
All right, let's lock it in. That's B. That is correct. A 2011 box set celebrates the 13-film collaboration between composer Danny Elfman and what director? A. Tim Burton, B. Steven Spielberg, C. Martin Scorsese, D. Quentin Tarantino.
I believe it's Tim Burton.
Wow, that was a really hard one, and you didn't even need a lifeline. That is correct. All right, let me see why I can't see the questions on the screen. It's really annoying me. Let's see if we can get that happening. All right, window. All right. Whoops. The magic of podcasting.
Technology.
Yeah,
working for us
we'll
here.
Get there, we'll get
right
there.
live. And... No worries.
Guest screen.
No worries.
Okay. Oh, there we go. That's better. And I don't know why we can't see the guest screen. All right, let's go for...
We flummoxed the technology.
let me just delete that.
Now I can see it.
Oh, you can see it?
Now
Okay, awesome.
Now I
All
can
right,
see it.
all right.
Now
All right, let's continue on.
Okay.
Technical difficulties. Okay, so you reveal the answer, which was Tim Burton. You got that right. And the next question, who wrote the play Romeo and Juliet? A. Charles Dickens, B. William Shakespeare, C. F. Scott Fitzgerald, D. Jane Austen.
William Shakespeare.
Lock it in. Correct. All right, moving along.
All right, moving along.
A 1985 North Atlantic expedition led by Robert Ballard discovered the wreck of what famous ship 73 years after it sank? A. Poseidon, B. Titanic, C. The Apollo, D. Atlantis.
Titanic.
Make sure you use your lifelines, Scott. You can do a 50-50 split. You can poll the audience, or you can holler to somebody.
Okay.
Let's do a 50-50
Titanic
split.
on that. Okay, you want to do 50-50 split. All right. I'm going to still go with B, the Titanic.
I gave you a bum steer there. That is correct.
That's
I'm
okay.
going to give you your lifeline back. All right, continuing on.
Okay.
A caramel candy brand since 1903, Werther's Original is named after a town in the Westphalia region of what country? France, Belgium, Germany, or Switzerland? If you're not sure, use a lifeline.
Yeah, I'm going to take my
All right,
50-50
take the
here.
50-50.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go with Germany.
Okay, let's lock it in. You can't hear the music, Scott. It's amazing. All right.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Trust me.
Music. I saw you rocking out to it. It's beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful.
Moving on. A laid-back Hawaiian native folk rocker Jack Johnson is famous for performing in what footwear? Boots, sandals, high heels, or sneakers? What does Jack Johnson perform in usually?
Well, I'm going to use a little deduction here. Hawaii, folk rock. I'm going to go sandals, B.
Sounds good to me. Let's lock it in. That's correct. Scott is flying up the ladder here.
Flying. Rolling.
2,000 in fake money is secure. Conditions apply.
I was told there'd be real winnings.
Oh, no, not another one. Okay. A largemouth angler specializes in catching a variety of what fish? Trout, bass, salmon, or catfish?
I believe the answer is bass. Largemouth bass.
Let's lock it in. That is correct. Could these questions be getting easier the higher you go?
I don't know. I was going off of the one clue there on largemouth. That was, could have fooled me. Could have tripped me up on it.
You're doing very well. This is hard. A chemical compound known as DHA is a common active ingredient in what beauty product? Shampoo, lipstick, self-tanning products, mascara. So you have the option of polling the wife or polling the audience, if you're not sure.
Let's poll the audience.
Let's poll the audience. Yeah, let's bother the wife at the last possible opportunity. All right. This one here. All right, we're just polling. DHA is a common active ingredient in what beauty products? Shampoo, lipstick, self-tanning products, mascara. Does anyone even know this?
I have it down to 2, so I don't.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to take a while.
Yeah, you got it. You need. All right. Was C one of your 2?
It was not, but the audience is pretty strong on that
Pretty
side.
strong.
So I'll follow the path because I really don't know, and it was going to be a wild guess on my side. So I'll take the audience's advice and go C. Self-tanning.
Always a good idea. That is correct. Down to one solitary lifeline.
One lifeline. If I don't know it, I'm in trouble.
Yes, obviously not a self-tanner like me.
No. No, although we see the same hairstyle.
I avoid all tanning.
Appreciate
all right.
Thanks, right. Appreciate that.
A kilowatt is a unit of power equal to how many watts? 100, 1,000, 10,000, or 100,000?
I believe it's 1,000. B.
Okay, let's lock it in. Very confident. That is correct. I thought that one might trip you up, Scott. I'm not sure if you use the metric system.
I'm familiar, but no, we do not use it here in the U.S., so that was outside the normal scope.
So instead of kilowatts, what is it? Just horsepower or?
What's
like
that, kilowatts?
Cars and stuff?
Yeah, no, we still use it it's a unit of energy here as well. We do some of our measurements in kilowatts, so that it does appear in that particular area. But yeah, that's absolutely on the metric side. Just kilo is 1,000, so jumped off on that.
Done. Okay, next question.
Okay.
A key plot in the Social Network movie. The exclusive frat-like clubs at Harvard University are called what? It's a key plot point in the Social Network. The frat-like frat-like clubs at Harvard University are called what? Let's have a look. Connectors, linkers, faces, final clubs. It's a bit tricky, this one.
It is.
So
I should know this.
Yeah, I'll give you a clue. It's the least sounding Facebooky social media one.
Yeah. Well, then I'm going to go with D and going to call it Final Clubs.
All right, Final Clubs. Would you have got that without my...
I would not have gotten that without one. So you'll have to. You were my eternal lifeline, so I think I should lose my phone a friend. I'm on my own here for the rest of the way because you steered me on
You're
that one.
safe at the 32,000 in fake money. All right.
Yes.
Conditions apply. Next one. A common palindrome begins a man, a plan, a canal, and ends in what country's name? A common palindrome begins a man, a plan, a canal, and ends with what country's name? Panama, Australia, Canada, England.
Panama.
Lock it in. Absolutely correct.
All right.
Flying by the seat of our pants here.
We are. We're just going to wing it all the way through. See how
Let's
far we
go.
can
You
make
could
it.
be the second person to go all the way.
Yep.
A local seafood joint called the Crab Shack is a frequent setting on which of these TV sitcoms? Cheers, Friends, The Office, The Middle. A local seafood joint called the Crab Shack is a frequent setting in which of these TV sitcoms? Cheers, Friends, The Office, or The Middle?
I'm going with The Office. I think it's on there. I know it's not the first. Cheers.
You
or
still
Friends,
have
so I'm
one
going with The
lifeline.
Office. I thought I used it up when you helped me out on the last one.
No, still got the Ask the Wife one.
And she doesn't know because she has not watched The Middle. I'm going to go with The Office. If
Okay.
I fail out on it,
All right, let's
I'll
lock
go
it
with The
in.
Office. That was The Middle.
Fortunately, you bombed out there. That's The Middle.
Did not
You
know
thought
that
better
one.
of bothering the missus with that question.
She wouldn't have known that one either because that's of the four had not seen The Middle, so we would not have had it.
All right, so moving all this silliness aside, Scott.
Thanks for letting me play. It was fun. I enjoyed that.
Excellent. What on earth is EOS?
What on earth is EOS? Fair question. So, what we do with EOS is we help entrepreneurs and small business owners really get a grip on their business. And so EOS stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It is based on a book called Traction, written by Gino Wickman, who is the author of Traction and the founder of the organization. It's about 15 years old now. And EOS is representative of a collection of tools and practices and disciplines that help entrepreneurs get their arms around their business and move it forward with really focusing on execution as much as anything else. So that is what EOS is.
I have heard a lot about this, and what are the sort of key things to it, the key pillars or what have you?
Yeah, it's 6 key components. Yeah, so won't bore everyone with going through all of them, but there are 6 key components to EOS, and our work with companies is to help companies strengthen each of these 6 components. And we typically say that most businesses are all faced with a similar set of issues, and to the extent that you can strengthen each of the 6 components, your business is going to find its traction and it's going to be able to achieve the standards and the levels that you want to take it to. So the components are: 1, having a strong vision, right? Knowing where you're going and how you're going to get there.
Is that to do with messaging, getting clear on your messaging, or
just knowing where you're going, right? So what do you want to be? Do you want to be in this space? Do you want to be number one in your industry? Do you want to get to X million dollars or get to this level of employees? But just making sure that that's clear for everyone is really the most important thing, and that there's agreement that that's there, and then sharing it with everyone in the organization. So that within the vision, we say, look, we help companies build out the vision by answering some questions, very simple, but setting up a business plan so that you can achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So vision is that first component. The second one is people. People typically make up 60 to 70% of most companies' challenges and issues. And we focus on making sure that you have the right people in the right seats. And what that means is you've got people that are aligned with your core values and that they know how to do the job that you're asking them to do. They have the right experience and the right education. They have the right discipline to do that. So people is component number 2, right people, right seats. Component 3 is data. So a lot of entrepreneurs have gotten where they are through their instinct, their intuition, gut feelings, and we encourage them to use the discipline of data, putting together a scorecard, holding yourself to those metrics, and really run your business on the analysis and the cold hard facts of the business and not just on that gut instinct. So strengthening your data component is about building out a solid scorecard for the company and for the departments in the company. And so with those 3 strengthening, I understand the vision, know where you're going, how you're going to get there. I've got all the right people doing the right work, and I know the metrics, right? What happens is you build a level of transparency in your organization, and now you can see right into what are all the problems. So component 4 is issues. Do you know what all your issues are? And are you tackling them one by one so that they go away from ever? And so we teach a discipline of how to solve issues so they don't keep popping up, and you don't play that old arcade game, whack-a-mole, right? Something pops up, you hit it on the head, it goes down, pop it up, right? You want to get out of that business. So you want to strengthen how you handle issues. Do you have all your issues in a place where you know where they are, and are you tackling them highest to lowest priority? So issues is the 4th component. The 5th is process. And this is just about making sure you understand what your core processes are, and then understanding that they're documented and that everyone in the company that needs to follow them follows them. So you document them, get them followed by all. That's the process component. And then the 6th and final component is the traction component. And this is about operating with discipline, delivering on that vision. And Gino, who once again wrote the book and founded the company, said famously, vision without traction is simply a hallucination. If you don't have any plan for execution, you can have the greatest idea, the greatest product, the greatest service. It's not going to get you anywhere. So that makes up EOS. So those 6 key components.
Awesome. And what are the problems that people are coming to you with, firstly, and then after they've gone through that process where they've really, are they changing and are more problems coming up? What are the main things that people are finding that, you're seeing pop up?
Sure. Typically when we're talking to a business, and we're talking to businesses that have 10 to 250 employees, so they're kind of in that mid-level employees. Now, we do have some here in the U.S., some publicly traded companies. I do have a lot of peers there in Australia and New Zealand as well. So this is an international effort. So we do have some implementers that help companies there as well. But 10 to 250 employees, and typically we're talking to a business owner who's feeling frustrated, maybe feeling a little stuck. Got into a particular business. Maybe they wanted be their own boss. They wanted to have some flexibility with their life and their schedule. And what they find is they're just not getting what they want from the business. It's not turning out to be what they thought it was going to be. And so with this frustration, we try to help them break through these moments when they hit these ceilings, as we describe them, right? It's inevitable when you're trying to grow something that you're gonna come up and hit a ceiling, and you're gonna have these periods of, something's changing, the market changed, my product's not doing what I want to do, I got to deal with this customer issue, I've got to add some people, and when you do that, you're gonna hit a ceiling. We try to find tools and techniques and practices to help companies break through those ceilings and get to the next level of growth, get to the next level that they're trying to achieve. So hitting a ceiling is where we hit. So that you hear things like, super frustrated, this is not what I thought it was going to be, right? Those are the type of clients that we end up working with.
And basically, what you're trying to do is create massive organizational change. Do you find, it's very difficult because the way organizations are, people settle into their roles, and often, do you find much resistance to the implementation, and how do you deal with that?
So ironically, we would not move forward if there was resistance, because we want organizations, the leader, the founder, we call them the visionary, but who's over at the top, the CEO, right? We want that individual to realize that they have a vulnerability around this. They know that the status quo is not going to get them to where they want to get to. And so we would never want to drag an organization through this process, because they wouldn't get anything out of it, right? You have to be in that mental state. We call it the psychographic profile, but you have to realize that if I don't do something different, I'm not going to get a different result here. I'm going to continue along the same way. So we wouldn't work with a company who was resistant. And in fact, we would stop working with a company that wasn't willing to take on the tough issues, the tough challenges, the tough questions. We want that vulnerability to say, yep, we're going to do this. We're going to go after it. So that's the first thing. The second part of the question is simply, if we have the leadership team mostly ready to go in that direction, but there's some holdouts, then you start to realize, is this person the right person for where we're taking this company? If they are satisfied, if they are content with the status quo, that may not fit the vision of the owner. And then he or she's going to have to make a tough call. Is this person going to be with me as I take this organization to where I want to take it?
Yeah, I can imagine it's very crucial to have the actual leadership team all on board. And then
Yep.
I imagine there would be some restructuring down the line if people weren't really willing to fit or wanting to change things.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, it's the tool that we use to really help the leadership team understand what they need is something called the accountability chart. It is not an organizational chart. So that is the first thing to call out there. The accountability chart is a reflection of how the company should be structured. What are the major functions in the organization? And then what are the responsibilities of those functions? So we start with a structure first, people second approach. So we jokingly say when we start working with a client, y'all came into this room with a title. That title's gone. Let's think about how this company needs to be structured to achieve what we want to achieve. Then let's define those with 5 key roles associated with that function. And then only then when we start putting people in there. So we don't want people to get attached to, well, I had this title.
Yeah.
This is my,
I've been here for 12 years or whatever.
Yeah. There's ego associated with that. Well, I am the vice president of operations, or I have the title of CFO, or whatever the titles are that are in an organization. You can go back to those titles, but we want to make sure that the function that title is responsible for is structure first, not built around the person. It's dangerous to build your company around people and not around the function that's going to move it forward. It's the thing that we spend the most time on, and often the area where we see the biggest change, a lot of resistance, but that's where it gets real when we're talking with our clients is making some of these tough calls. Because you're right, they've been around for a long time. They've known them for a while. They've become friends. Could be a family member. That happens quite a bit, Julian, where you've got
God.
right, yeah, and we'll say, like, just because you own the business doesn't mean you get to work in the business. Like, those two things aren't the same thing. Right, you don't automatically get that spot, and that is also a tough concept for folks to understand. But it's probably what's holding back the company. If you've got someone who's not in the right seat, they don't know how to do the work that they've been assigned. They've just been there for a while.
Yeah, excellent. And with this EOS, they talk about finding unique abilities. What's that all about?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So one of the things that is another area where we find companies get slowed down is the unwillingness or the discomfort that an owner or multiple owners might have in letting go of parts of the business. And so we really try to spend time working with our owners about how do they delegate out the work that they need to do so that they can elevate up to their unique ability. And so we have a very simple 4-square chart, which says you really, as anyone in the company, but as an owner specifically, you need to spend the time doing the things that you're really good at and that you really like to do. And you want to get rid of the stuff that you're not good at and that you don't like to do, or maybe that you're good at, but you don't like to do it. Anything that you don't like to do, you need to get rid of that and start delegating that out. And when you do that, it does 2 things. It gives other people in the organization a chance to grow, and then it allows the owner and the other leaders the ability to step up into their unique ability, into their superpower. Simply put, if I'm an owner of a company, I shouldn't be being paid to do work that someone else could do for a lower rate. My per hour rate, my salary, that's going to be higher than that. I need to make sure I'm focused on the things that are the most important in the business, spending time thinking about what's the strategy we're going to follow. So that delegation is so critical for the organization to be able to move forward. For as long as the leaders of the company get stuck in the minutia and the details, you're going to hold back any growth that you'd be talking about there. And there's some great literature on this. I'd strongly recommend a book. This is outside the EOS library, but it's a book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan, and it's called Who, Not How. And it's all about making sure that you find all the right who's and don't worry about how it's done. Like, finding those who's is the most important thing for an owner of a company to do to allow for the growth that they're trying to get to.
Yeah, the delegating's a big one. I can imagine people being, that have grown and built the business, having a real hard time letting go of all of these kind of, detailed tasks, which are just, stopping them from growing the business. As I say, working in the business instead of working on the business.
No doubt.
And what would you say has been the biggest takeaway lesson in running your own business that you've found? Impactful lesson.
Yeah, the biggest thing for us, so my wife and I actually own a small business as well as I have the coaching practice. I've got a couple of things going on, but if we run our small business on EOS, you're gonna laugh at me, Julian, since you're looking at me, but I own a haircut and color shop. So yes, I'm a bald guy with a
I
haircut
was going to
shop.
say we've got the same
No
barber.
judging. Yeah, no judging, please. No judging, please. But we have that. We run that on EOS, and for us, there was just a realization that we needed to get much clearer around what our expectations were for the individuals that we're bringing on, defining that role first instead of trying to build around the people that we already had in place. And so as we got really clear on the roles, and this is a little unique, but we had certain expectations of what each one of our employees should be able to do. And we had compromised on that early on in hiring folks that could do some of the work, but not all the work. And so we made a decision that we weren't going to do that anymore. If they couldn't deliver on all of the roles and responsibilities for that particular work, then they were not going to come on board. And we've stuck to that. And so it's slowed down our growth in some ways, but it's made us much more powerful in attracting the right type of people to come on board. So that was really critical, and that's why people is always the crux of an issue for an organization. And two things need to be true. They need to be the right person, so they're aligned with the core values that we've built for our organization. So that is we cannot bring someone on board that is not aligned with our core values. And then they have to be able to do all the things that we need them to do, and that's what we call right seat. They understand the work. Those two things have to be true. If they're short on either way, we don't offer them a role. We don't keep them on board.
And you know what's really good about that, Scott, is because you have a business and you are putting these practices into, in real life applications where a lot of coaches are just kind of talking the talk, but you actually doing it, which makes a massive difference, I believe.
Yeah, I've had a lot of two key roles in any EOS business. One is the visionary. This is typically the owner or the founder, and he or she has got this great idea for a company, started a company, and they're going to always be looking to take the company to the next level, right? They're kind of at that 30,000-foot view coming at you with a bunch of ideas every day, every week, right? So you got that visionary role. And then the second in command, or the counterpart to that visionary, we call that person an integrator. And the integrator is the glue. This is the get stuff done person, and complements the visionary by executing on the things the visionary wants to do, potentially holding that visionary in check. Well, before I ever started working with EOS and implementing in my own business, I was an integrator. I just didn't know it. I was doing all of this work on executing and trying to make things go. So I had this practical experience of being the person that gets things done. So when I approach a client, I'm approaching them from that lens. I'm saying, look, I've been where you are. You got to get this in check. And then we try to work through that. And one thing that is different than EOS, it is not a consulting engagement. We actually don't get into your business and tell you what to do. We actually just try to point out, these are the things that you need to change. These are the things that you want to take on. Here are the tools that you need to implement and put into practice. But ultimately, we're going to exit. We're trying to teach you. We're going to coach you. And then we're going to step away. You're going to graduate at some point in time, and you're going to do this all on your own. And that's what our goal is, to have someone come through the whole program and then exit out the other side that much stronger.
Fantastic, Scott. And what's the way that people can sort of get into your world? They schedule a call with you?
Yeah, so we always have an introductory call just as a get to know you. And then from there, if someone is really interested in understanding what EOS is about, we do offer a free 90-minute overview where you learn about me and my background. You learn about EOS. You learn about those 6 key components that introduced, and we also spend 20, 25 minutes talking about your business and what is it that you're looking for. That 90-minute meeting, it's a two-way matchmaking session. We want to make sure that anyone that wants to come in and work with one of us likes the person that they're going to work with and understands EOS. You got to know and like EOS, and you got to know and like your implementer. You get close for a long period of time, and so that 90-minute meeting is there. And you can reach out to me via the website that you threw on there earlier, or you can email me, scott.goodrich@EOS Worldwide.
Right, just bring out the website there. So there it is.
Yep.
Scott's email address. I've put the URL in the description and the show notes if you want to have a chat to Scott and learn more about some of this stuff, because it's very powerful stuff. I'd like to thank you for coming on, Scott. That was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on here. Thanks for letting me play the game. I'm looking at my answers there. It stayed on the screen, and I'm kicking myself because I knew better. But I would have liked to take it all the way to the end. But what can I do? I lost out on 64,000 fake dollars.
Yeah, that's right. Checks in the mail. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Thanks.